Dot, 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 dot. Good morning, everybody. This is Grant with State of the Spark, and I am super pumped for today's show. We're going to be talking about returning to goals and how an Iranian couple actually met just based on the goals they had written down. It's actually a trippy story on how they met. It's actually pure magic. We're going to remind you of that pure magic. We're going to talk just briefly about what I'm calling a lunar semi. And basically, it's a partial lunar eclipse, one of the rarest in a century. 50 years back, 50 years forward. This is the rarest lunar eclipse you're going to be able to see. But before any of that, you know what we're going to do. And I found it, my lucky morning cup of gratitude. What are you grateful for? Tell me in the comments below. Live out loud. Share what you're pumped about this week. And let me know what you're grateful for. Good. My voice didn't break that time. Totally last week my voice broke. What are you grateful for? Let's talk about it. I am massively grateful for this weather. I love this weather. If you didn't catch this from Friday, I love the rain, and now it brought the cool weather, and I was out this morning, and I actually got to see another thing I'm grateful for. I sat out this morning because we are experiencing the torrid meteor shower, if you don't know. And I sat outside. Instead of going to the gym, I stretched and did my jump rope and my kettlebell and my stretching all out on the patio. And I got to see the glorious meteor shower coming through. It was great. I say glorious. It was a few of them, and they were very bright. I had a great meditation out there. I had a great centering to be out under the stars while getting my morning routine going. It was awesome. That's what I'm grateful for this morning. I'm grateful for the fact that I had a TikTok go to 600,000 views in climbing this morning. So we'll see about how that goes. Good morning, Root. I hope you're doing fantastic, sir. That's what I'm grateful for. Seriously, what are you grateful for? If you're watching this show, if you swing by, what are you grateful for? Tell me, express it, share it out into the world. I'm grateful for my team. I'm grateful that I'm alive. I'm grateful that I get another day. I'm grateful that I have fitness. I'm grateful that I'm connected to other awesome people. I'm grateful that my mycelium is growing. I'm grateful for so many things. What are you grateful for? I'm grateful that me and a good friend, Ron, got involved in an NFT project that we were hoping to own a soccer team, but they couldn't get the momentum. They closed down. Did we lose the money? No. I'm grateful that they refunded us. I'm grateful, so grateful for everything going on in my life right now. Let's talk about other news. So first, the longest partial lunar semi you've ever heard about. It's the longest duration of a partial eclipse in this century is coming to a hemisphere near you on November 19th. Mostly in the Western Hemisphere, we will experience a partial lunar eclipse. And I don't know the percentage. By partial, I'm not sure the percentage, but it begins at about 2:19 a.m. And then it peaks around 4 a.m. and ends around 5:47 a.m. Now, I got to tell you, I got to find out what, oh my gosh, what time zone it's going to be in, and I'll find out and let you all know. I believe it's Eastern time zone, but I'm not entirely sure. I could check that out for you. But it's kind of weird because if you picture the sunrise happening, say, for example, at 7 a.m., give or take, maybe 6:45, 7 a.m., and then you picture this lunar eclipse happening. This lunar eclipse is when the shadow of the Earth is covering up the moon a little bit. So it's going to be cruising through our shadow while the sun is also rising. So you're going to have to get up early, 2:19 a.m. to start seeing this thing. Now, this is only the second lunar eclipse in 2021, and that one, if you recall, was the super flower blood moon. Like, how many different adjectives can we give this thing? Jessica jumps in. Good morning, Jessica. Good morning. Grateful for the weather, family, and rest, and also the extra light in the mornings to get to working earlier. I assume you meet in the gardens, right? They have a homestead that they're working on and tearing this thing up, and it's gorgeous to know, just to know that someone's out there working in the gardens. I know that my grandparents used to take me out to the orange and citrus groves, and we used to work that in the morning. But I got to tell you, I actually love the other time more than this time zone. I wish we would quit the time change, but I do feel you. If you've got to work outside, it's gorgeous to work outside, and that morning dawn time is just a great time to be outside. So awesome. Thank you for sharing, Jessica. Let's talk about, let me give you a link to this lunar partial eclipse so that if anyone cares to take their kids out, rouse them, and actually share with them some awesome celestial activities. Let's not forget that. And please, let's also not forget that the Leonid meteor shower is coming up. The Taurid meteor shower is going to wrap up this week. I think it peaks on Thursday this week. And then next week is the Leonid shower. So you've got that link in the comments. That thumbnail is not the thumbnail of an actual partial lunar semi. It's just a photo of a moon. So let's talk about how an artist paints his wife to life. No joke. This world's getting crazy. Here we go. Yes, I say Iranian, and I might be misspeaking. He could be Turkish, if I'm not mistaken. It ended up that his piece of artwork ended up in an Iranian art museum. But very briefly, this artist was being basically harassed and pressured by his mother, as many Middle Eastern mothers do, to get married. He was an artist, and he had not been married yet and hadn't met the love of his life. So about 1.5 years before ever meeting this person, he actually went into his daydream space, went into his artist fantasy space, and actually came up and conjured with the image of this erotic partner that he could have, the most matched partner he could imagine in his brain. He envisioned this person, thought of this person, and as Picasso said, I dream my paintings and then I paint my dreams. So he did this. He fantasized about her. He came up with this idea, and then he painted her. Artist Ahad Sadi. Now, this gentleman, young guy, being pressured by his family to be married, paints this person. And once he gets it out of his head onto the canvas, he thinks, okay, maybe my mother will go easy on me. Through a series of events, though, it came up that the Lunar Mukades Gallery, forgive me if I'm butchering this, decided to put his painting on display, and he ended up doing a show at the Lunar Mukades Gallery. And so this went on for several nights. Now, one evening, another artist was at dinner with her boyfriend, and her boyfriend said, hey, there's an art show going on nearby. Would you like to go? And she said, sure, let's go. So this couple were walking through the art gallery when the boyfriend, seemingly disinterested in any of the art, was kind of like, hey, let's get out of here. Some of this is lame. When artist Parisa Karamenazad, forgive me if I'm butchering that, we'll call her Parisa because that's her first name. She suddenly stops at a painting and feels like she's looking at a mirror. She first has to check and see if this is like a performance gallery because the painting that she's seeing is nearly identical to who she is. And she turns to her boyfriend and says, does this look like me? And he said, no, I don't see the resemblance. And he left. And so being a good partner, she left with him. And she also noticed that the artist, someone had indicated, well, that's the artist over there. And she kind of waved and the artist froze in his tracks and then she left. Well, she shared the story with her best friend. Her best friend started freaking out. She's like, well, it's not that big of a deal. It just kind of looked like me. So the next night, Parisa and her best friend decide to go back to the gallery because her best friend wants to see this painting and see if it's actually a match for them. They walk in, and her best friend's looking at the painting and looking at her and says, this is literally you. And they look up and someone says, well, that's the artist over there. And someone tugged at the artist's sleeve, Ahad Sadi, who we met before, whose mother is pressuring him to get married, and indicates her. And he walks up and he introduces himself. Ahad said, was quoted as saying, when I saw Parisa in my exhibit for the first time, both the excitement and the flutter of my heart gave me a feeling I have never experienced before. It was an indescribable feeling to have something in your dream space and see it happen in reality. Well, they met and they didn't know where to take this conversation next, so they parted ways. She was seeing another person and she wanted to remain faithful to that. So 18 months go by. And after 18 months, things had changed. Parisa was no longer seeing the boyfriend. She had not stayed in touch with Ahad, but Ahad decided to look her up suddenly. He looked her up, found her on Facebook, and she decided to meet for lunch. At that very lunch, Ahad, having not lost a single ounce of flame for this person, told her when they hugged for the first time, "You don't know how much I love you." And at that very dinner, proposed, and they got married. That's a fun story, right? This is a fun story, and it's a phenomenal story, and I don't even have the link for you. I need to find the link for you. I thought I had put it here. I'll pull it up in my Google News feed, and I'll share it with you. But this is so important. And can you imagine how rewarding it is to take the time and to put the busyness of life aside long enough to take the time to craft an image of your dream partner, your dream friend, your dream lover, and then to actually not only fantasize about it and allow yourself to say yes to your dream, but then also to sit down and put acrylic paint onto a canvas and try to paint it. And I know I'm not a great painter. And I know that if I were to try to paint Marissa, I would butcher it so bad. But to take the time with it that Aha did and to make it a meditation, so much so that it was ingrained in his brain. So much so that when someone saw themselves in it, it was a clear match. So much so that you act on it and even endure 18 months apart after seeing this dream manifest in real life, but still are patient and still chase that dream and then get married. Now, most people don't know this, but this is how I manifested my trip around the world. This very act is how I manifested my relationship with Marissa. Most people don't know this. You see, I was going through an extremely tough time in my late teens and early 20s. I had moved all over the state. I had moved to another town. I had started an acting career, but I also burnt out. I was told I wouldn't make it anywhere in film, and I took that pretty hard. And after working hard, working an extra job, I was just running on burnout. And I moved back to my hometown in Vero Beach, Florida. And when I moved back to my hometown through a series of events, I ended up at a church. And that pastor became my mentor for a season, and that mentor handed me a book, Think and Grow Rich. Now, if you've read Think and Grow Rich, this is the exact copy. And you can tell it's in tatters, and I have had multiple copies. You can tell that I make tons of notes. This is the chapter on faith. This very copy of Think and Grow Rich has traveled with me now for the last 20 years. That's a 20-year-old copy of a book. Because it made such an impact in my life. And they handed me this, and I was reading this book, and it was changing my life. So I decided to go to the library and find material to put a dream board together. And in putting that dream board together, this is one of my dream boards from that era. I've got another one down here. To put that dream board together and to take something on faith and to realize I don't see this thing yet, but I want it so bad. I need to start manifesting. I need to start giving it skin. I need to start painting it and drawing it and writing about it. So I went through this process of writing my dream travel, my dream spouse. I didn't want to be alone anymore. I wanted to go through this life with a partner and a friend, someone who valued me, someone who understood what I was worth, someone who was an echo chamber of sorts, a validation that you're here for a purpose, you're here for a meaning, I'm here for a purpose, and together we actually have this ignited fireball of goals and dreams. I wrote all that down. I wrote this trip down. And in one of the magazines I found in the library, I found a recommended cruise trip. And it had 10 stops on it. I thought, this would be great. It goes along the equator. I could surf in each of these locations. So I clipped out this little map with 10 locations on it. And I put them on my dream machine. I put them on my dream board. I was around I'd say the age of 20 at this time. So every day I would wake up and I positioned my dream board that as soon as I woke up, and as soon as I flicked on the light would hit the dream board first. And this was the first thing that I was reminded, this was my purpose. This was my centerpiece. So through a series of events, I ended up on having Thanksgiving in Spain one year, 2004. Years had gone by now, and one would lose heart in these sorts of goals, but I didn't. My dream board was there, and it kept me alive, and I was traveling to Spain. And I met a person on this trip to Spain who was willing to pay for my schooling. And I was 24 going on 25 at the time. And they had some relationships at Harvard. They worked at Harvard and they were going to be able to get me in, even though my grades didn't really cut it. So I applied and was accepted. And I had no idea how I was going to get paid for, but this person committed to paying for it. And it was at that time I started receiving college mail. And one of the pieces of college mail was from Semester at Sea. Now, I was familiar with Semester at Sea, specifically because MTV. But at that moment, something caught my eye. The map of 10 locations. And I looked at my wall, looked right over it, and it was the same map. And I held it up, and I had the map from Semester at Sea and the map to the 10 locations I wanted to travel. I felt like I was in an adventure movie. So I called and renegotiated this first semester with this person who was willing to pay for school. In fact, this semester at Sea trip was going to cost far less than the first semester at Harvard. And I ended up going on that fateful trip on Semester at Sea that I'm sure you've heard a lot about, that I've talked about if you've been a fan of the show. Now, people don't know this part. I did the same thing with my wife. I actually wrote and described the type of person I wanted to run with, that they could eat ramen and steak with the same grace, that we would laugh on every occasion, that we were lifelong lovers, that we invited people to our home, living room, and table, that we traveled the world together. And I have this dream written in my dream board. I'll show it to you if you ever care to ask. And it was in an early part of the year in 2010 when I met my wife. Now, I had met my wife actually in a series of circumstances before that. She had caught my eye a little bit before that, about a semester before that, about a year before that, actually. And then a year later, she caught my eye again. We did not realize this until we saw a correspondence, a small slip of paper that I had written my contact information on and had given her a year before. But it was at that moment that I recognized her. She called me out. She recognized me. And I was able to recognize that this was my partner. This was the person I wanted to do life with, because of what I had written in my dream machine. Now, we have done this process since our return trip to the Dominican Republic, or our trip to the Dominican Republic, our real estate investments, our financial freedom attempts and experiments. They've all come from launching our businesses to seeing our family. They've all come partly because of the magic of unknown circumstances and coincidences, but largely in part because of our conscious and intentionality to make something real. The best way to predict the future is to make it. You know, I believe, obviously, in setting goals. I believe that we're animals and there is no meaning other than what we give it. And some people could look at that negatively, like passive nihilism. But active nihilism sees that and says, then the meaning is the meaning we give it. And goal setting is the attempt at giving something meaning. I started State of the Spark, helping people ignite lives of explosive significance by giving them the visceral experience of saying yes to the dreams on their heart, the emotional attachment we have to actually setting and achieving our big goals, writing our goals down. But the pandemic's been hard on people. You know, already before the pandemic, the world was difficult. The world was difficult to believe in something bigger. The world was difficult. It was difficult enough in the world to say yes to be able to manifest something, because as we get older, we cannot help but become very familiar with the limitations of our reality. In fact, part of maturity is accepting those limitations. I say no, not all of them. And it's difficult enough to convince people that we have this glorious thing in our life because we set that goal. Sometimes people were born with a silver spoon in their mouth. That's totally true. Some people are born as trust fund babies, right? Some people are born with the blessing of being an immigrant, moving to America and seeing America for what it is, differently than being born here and just being a latchkey kid from the 80s and 90s. And just kind of disregarding the blessing. There's different ways to be blessed. But then you throw in the pandemic. A year slips into 2 years of not being able to set big goals, of feeling the weight even more, this weight of all the limitations of our reality. Add that to, seems like the techies have still been busy despite the pandemic, and they're launching new businesses and crypto, and everyone's getting rich. But me, it feels like in my heart of hearts, I am sensing in my quiet time when I'm journaling and I'm thinking about you. I'm sensing this one message rise up again and again, and I don't care if it gets annoying. Return to goals. You see, I think if we haven't completely absorbed and adjusted to have being pandemic ready, if we have not adjusted, we will. I believe in the new year, we might see other challenges. We might have yet another pandemic, but I believe that we have come out of the pandemic and there is no limitation now but lazy minds or wearied minds. Maybe you're not lazy, maybe you're just exhausted of fighting the limitations that society keeps throwing at us. Economic limitations, inflation limitations, pandemic limitations. They want us to get sucked into the politics limitations. They want us to get sucked into the religions limitations. They want us to do things normal. It becomes so difficult to borrow money, lend money, invest. We keep getting hung up. And I'm here to encourage you on a Monday, this thing coming up in my spirit, coming up in my soul as I meditate and as I pray, the thing that's coming up in me on a Monday morning that's just firing me up, and it's simply this: return to goals. I am telling you, it is time to dust off your goals and going, oh, if you thought, a lot of people are asking me about crypto right now because of what we're doing in the Discord and in the Patreon, and we've made some money in crypto. It's like, oh man. And the question that keeps coming up is, how do I get early into a crypto before it takes off? It's a question we get all the time. We answer it there a little bit. But let me tell you this. People are also asking me this question about reality. How do I get in early on the move going on in reality? How do I get ahead? How do I stop feeling behind? How do I quit feeling like I'm behind? Jessica says, that's amazing. Well, I'd like to know which part, but I'm feeling amazing. How do I return to getting ahead? How do I return to feeling like I'm on top of things, myself, that I'm living my purpose? And I'm here to tell you the foundation of feeling like you're living your purpose. The foundation of feeling like you're getting ahead, not of other people, not of society, but of yourself and the dragon that drags us down all the time and feeling like we're being reactive instead of proactive. How do I get ahead from that regard? How do I wake up with purpose so I know what to say no to because there's so much junk? How can I know to say no to crypto and yes to my energy work in Jessica's case? How do I know to say no to that entrepreneurial venture and say yes to this job or yes to this move? My friend Eli was pondering some things this weekend. How does he know to say no to some things in order to say yes to others? If nothing much matters, the rubric to answering the question of what does matter starts here and here. It's connecting the heart and the mind and going, what goals do I set? Knowing what I now know. Can I garner the energy in this lovely fall weather to prepare for a threshold moment come January to leap into extraordinary things, a reopening of the world? I'm here to tell you how you do that is by returning to goals. I can't tell you how many times I coached people in the last year, and I would meet them for coaching, and I'd ask the question, hey, what are your goals? And they would say, hey, I'm doing a new thing. I'm changing tactics. I'm not setting goals. Okay. I mean, there's a season for this. There's a season for flow. There's a season for you to go, hey, I'm just adrift on flow, and that's cool. And then there's a season to return to goals. Now, I've got 4 quick things for you on this. But the number one thing I want to say to you is start just ruminating. I'm not talking about massive work yet. I'm talking about massive heart work. I'm talking about massive soul work. I'm talking about dusting off and moving the cobwebs and clearing out the space. I'm not talking about filling that space with anything just yet. Hey, thanks for the love, Chris. I hope you're doing great, man. I saw Chris Inahosa come on in and like or love the show. Thank you, sir. Share the show with someone who you think might needs it. But I think it's time for you to return to your goals. I like Chris Inahosa for one reason. Well, for several, but one main reason. He's got us 25 and 25. And this has never left me. And I hope, Chris, It's never left you. There's not much I can do to contribute to Chris's 25 and 25. If you want to know more about that, ask him. It's his big dream. But I will encourage you this. And since the pandemic, a lot of us have said yes to a lot of things we probably shouldn't have just to get by. Ah, my man. Chris jumps in and says, "Oh, thanks for the shout out, man. You know it." I shout that out because you need to hear it. We all need to be echo chambers of each other's goal. I need you to tell me to keep igniting lives of explosive significance. You need me to tell you 25 and 25. Someone here remembers. And yeah, he follows up. Boom. Someone outside of yourself is expecting you to be working on this and delivering this, even if you have to change it. Even if you have to change it, that's cool too. But is it vibrating in you? Root Patel came on earlier. And Root's got big goals. And yes, he used to want to build $1 billion company. He said, I don't have these goals anymore, but he's got new goals. And those goals are just as real. Jessica has a dream and desire to serve people in the area of energy work. She's got a dream and a desire to live in the mountains. You need me to be this echo chamber for you. I need you to be this echo chamber for me. And there are hundreds of people that need you to say back to them their goals. Because there's a time to go easy. During the pandemic, there's a lot of uneasiness, and this was a good time for us to sit back and go with the flow a little bit, to adjust, to lower our expectations for big things and to increase our expectations for inner things. This is natural seasons of radiate purpose. Spark, ignite, explode, radiate. These are natural seasons of hibernation where you save your energy, garner your energy, focus your energy, clarify your energy, and in order to get ready to focus your energy. And I'm here to tell you, we're in the transition season. We're coming into a winter season. But I'm here to tell you, we are going to transition to where the world is suddenly going to be open, and you're going to be asking yourself, did I mentally prepare? Did I take advantage of the downtime to do the heart work? Did I take advantage of the downtime to skill up? Did I take advantage of the downtime to nurture the relationships that should be nurtured, to prune the relationships that should have been pruned? If you haven't yet, you still have time. I think you've got about 2.5 months. I'm calling it. I think you have 2.5 months before the world gets crazy. Now, we think it's been crazy because of like the Capitol riots or the Portland riots or the crypto markets. We think it's been crazy. No. That's just normal stuff going on. But we've all focused on that because we haven't had our goals to focus on because it's been difficult to manifest our own goals. But I'm telling you, I believe in about 2.5 months, the world is just going to open up. That's about mid-January, early February. The world's just going to open up and we're going to ask ourselves, the world is passing us by. Did we skill up? Did we study? Did we journal? Did we do the heart work? Here's just a few quick suggestions I have. Number one, if you have an early copy of the Top 100 Dream Igniter, I recommend you just jump right to the download section and do a download. Capture your heart, dust off your things. But here's some steps in case you don't have that I just recommend, and I'm not even going to spend a lot of time unpacking them. Number one, set time aside. I'm telling you, you need to start making your Saturdays sacred for heart work. I think you need to make Saturday mornings a ritual and sacred. You're about to come into a crazy holiday season, and your weekends are going to get all consumed. And then business, you got to keep up with business so that as you come into the new year, you're not caught unawares and you're still making money. You got to keep up with the markets. Make your Saturdays, if not also your Sundays, absolutely sacred. And I don't just mean to worship deity. I mean to work on yourself. Set massive time aside. I suggest a whole morning and afternoon. If you've got to do a local ritual, when we're in town, we have a local ritual we do. We go to the downtown. We do breakfast and coffee with friends. We sit and enjoy ourselves and just spend time with people. And then at about 9 a.m., we retreat, and we retreat like all midday. Number one, set time aside. You need to be intentional to garner your energy. If you have kids, ask your spouse to handle them for a little while, and then you tag out and let them do the same. Like, whatever it is you need to do, you need to set massive time aside for heart work. Boom. Oh, Jessica says, regarding your dream board manifesting your semester sea trip. Yeah, I can unpack that for you. Absolutely. It was a wild thing. The same with my wife. Number one, set time aside. Number two, pull out any of your old goal setting notes or material. Hopefully you did a physical journal. Hopefully you have a physical dream board, as I pulled my dream board out right here. Hopefully you have a physical dream board. If you don't, you need one. But if you have, like you guys have seen my dream machine, which is a binder full of my top 200 goals and dreams, pull those out. Pull out your old journals, your old Moschines, your old calendars, and look anywhere that you were writing goals and ambitions. Just pull them all out. That's step 2. Just pull them all out. Let them exist. Don't hide them in a closet. Pull them out and make them a centerpiece of your life, because these are the symbol of your dreams, and symbols are important. Symbols are important. These are all symbols that resonate with who we are. This is a symbol that's important to us. Your dream boards, your journals, your old notes, these are symbols of intentionality you had. Put them and just set them in the middle of the room for a minute and get them out. Number 1, set time aside. Number 2, pull out your old material. Number 3, check off anything that's been completed. I know that when it's been a minute since I've looked at my dream board and I pull that dream board out and I realize I've still been on mission. I've still accomplished some of these things. Me and Marissa, we had bought real estate. We had surfed in foreign countries. I realized, oh my God, I have some things to cross off here. Awesome stuff. So number 1, set time aside. Number 2, pull out all the old stuff. Number 3, check off anything that you have unconsciously still been navigating towards and completing. Number 4, scratch off anything you just don't want anymore. Oftentimes when you're set on goals, you get so attached to, should I have this thing or not have this thing, that as you mature, your desires change. And then you realize, well, I want 6-pack abs. That's been on there since I was 17. Well, okay, is that still something you really, really want? You might. You could be 42 and go, no, I really want this thing. Okay, great. Put it on there. It is on mine at least once in my life. I want 6-pack abs. Operation Find My Abs. That's what it's called. But there's other things I just don't want anymore. I don't want a McLaren SLR 22. Stupid ass car. I don't need that. Why did I want such a superficial thing? I don't need everything on my list anymore. It's been on my list to build an Earthship in Haiti for a long time. I'm still not willing to pull it off, but I'm teetering. Is that something I really want to do? I have one that I want to build a Earthship in Polk County. Is that something I still want to do? Yep. I want to see an Earthship built super nice in Polk County because I live here. There's some things you just don't want anymore, and you've got to pony up and be honest when you just don't want it. Write it down, scratch it off. So set time aside. Let's see, what do we say? Pull out all your old material. Check off anything that you've unconsciously still accomplished. Number 4, scratch off the junk. You don't need everything, especially as you get older and age up. It's like, I don't need all this mess. I don't need all these goals. I don't need to write the first $1 trillion tithe check. But you also need to say, what is it about this goal that is still with me? Massive wealth, giving away massive amounts of items. Why not? Why not? Number 5, write down any new goals or ambitions. Now, listen, there's a whole art and science to writing goals down. Typing it on your keyboard does not, scientifically, does not have the same impact as writing it out, as putting it on a dream board. I recommend you do all of the above. Type out these dreams, but then make a ritual out of pulling out your daily calendar and writing down the top goals. Now, again, my top 100 Dream Igniter, it's not available yet. Jessica Ojeda's got a copy. James has a copy. A few of you guys have a copy. You're making edits for me. And then we're going to come back and launch it later. If you don't have that, that's fine. But there's an entire ritual around writing your goals. I don't mean just type it out. How do you feel? It doesn't feel magic. No, ritualize it until it does. If your goals aren't magic to you, you haven't made a ritual out of it. Return to goals. You're hearing me call this now. I believe in about 2.5 months, the world is going to feel like it's opened up massively again. I'm not going to say it's all sunshine and rainbows. Not at all. It's going to be busy, and there's going to be a lot going on. You're going to get more opportunities. You're going to have a rubric to know what to say yes to and what to say no to. I'm calling it now. Return to goals. And there's magic in it. Like the magic of the Turkish-Iranian couple, like the magic of me and my semester at Sea Trip, like the magic of me knowing that's my wife. And I don't know if she's down for it, but I'm going to pursue this person. There's magic, and there's still more to come. Return to the ritual and magic of goals. return to goals. Listen, I hope you have an amazing week. If you need any support at all, visit us at stateofthespark.com. If you want to follow our experiments in freedom building, cryptocurrency buys and sells alerts, please visit our Patreon, become one of our patrons, and get involved in the Discord group. But no matter what you do today, remember the mission: igniting lives of explosive significance, starting with your own. Have a great day.